The time has come. We have reached the final iPhone 15 rumor video before everything is actually confirmed, unlike all the tech YouTubers saying it's confirmed when it's not. So we're going to cover all of the most recent reports when we have less than 24 hours until the event begins, and then we can find out exactly how dated this video has become. I'm just mostly excited to see if we get USB-C. You can unsub now, that's fine. So I just wanted to say it's been fun, it's been real, it's even been real fun because, in my opinion, this is a bigger update than usual. I know that every year doesn't feel like that big of an upgrade anymore because we basically just keep attacking the war on bezels and everyone's like, oh, iPhones aren't a big deal anymore. I don't think the 15 is that big a deal. But honestly, if you look at all of the changes that are rumored to happen, we've got the removal of the ringer switch, the addition of the action button, the second time in history that Apple has ever changed the charge port on the iPhone. The only other time that happened was with Lightning in 2012. That's literally never happened since then. And we've got the Pro models using a brand new material that has never been used for the chassis of the iPhone before, titanium. And it's also the first inclusion of a 3nm chip. Apple has not shipped that on any of their hardware, and the iPhone is going to be getting the first 3nm chip with the A17. So sure, I'm not saying it's as big a deal as, say, the iPhone 10 was, or for some of you, for some reason, the iPhone 4 was the biggest update because the Retina display and it looked a little boxy, I get. Yeah, that was huge. Yeah, in my opinion, like in terms of modern day iPhone upgrades, you know, this is why Apple had to get rid of the S branding because they realized that every year was becoming an S year. But with all of that incremental upgrades, I still feel like this is a pretty substantial change. Like all of the material changes, all of the charge port changes, there's display upgrades, of course there's camera upgrades. We're getting our first periscope lens this year. But the most recent reports that kind of contradict and go back against all of the reports we've been saying these years, and I should give some credit, there's some people that suspected this would happen. The price hikes, at least for the United States, might not be as bad as we originally thought. The most recent reports are suggesting that the smaller 6.1-inch iPhone 15 Pro is actually going to stay at the starting price of $999, which would shock me, to be honest with you. So that's just what the latest rumors are saying. You can choose whether or not you want to believe them, but I'm still going to expect a price hike personally, because Apple has maintained that high-end iPhone starting price of $999 for the past 6 years now, okay? The iPhone 10 started at $999 and we all thought that was crazy, and here we are in 2023, like, grateful at the idea. Wow, only $1,000? That's pretty good. Apple's marketing, they just are great at getting us used to things. But the one caveat, the one downside of keeping that price point somewhat reasonable is that that rumor also suggested that, yes, the Pros for another year are going to be sticking with 128 gigs for the entry-level model, which, you know, 128 is fine, but I just thought that, you know, if there was going to be price hikes, this would be a good time to up it. Plus, I've been kind of sick of the whole, well, if you want 4K ProRes, you got to get the 256 gig model, and I thought, shouldn't that just be a standard thing? Should we really have to explain to people you have to get the right storage configuration to unlock certain camera features? I don't know, I always just was somewhat annoyed by that, but I guess if you're happy with 128 gigs and you don't care about the ProRes recording because you're a normal human being, then this should be looked at as good news, you know, if you're the kind of person that buys the 6.1-inch model. Where the bad news more likely comes in is if you're interested in the 15 Pro Max, because that is still rumored to get a $100 price hike, which does make this a little interesting. That means this year there's rumored to be a $200 price gap between the two different sizes of the Pros, which is kind of weird. And on top of that, the 15 Pro Max is getting that price hike and also still sticking with 128 gigs on the default storage option. I don't know, $1,200 for an iPhone that still has 128 gigs, that feels like a tougher pill to swallow. I could have gotten behind it if 256 gig was the default storage. I was like, okay, you know, they're removing the 128 option, but you get a little bit more for your money with that price hike. But I guess that periscope lens, huh? That must be adding to the overall cost or something. I genuinely thought, similar to the Apple Watches, that if you build the phone out of titanium, which is inherently a more expensive material than steel, that would of course drive the price up for both the Pros, but now the rumors are suggesting that just the Pro Max would get more expensive. And, you know, I do think from a marketing perspective, Apple's probably wise to do that, because then they get to say, the 15 Pros start at $999, so it's like under $1,000. Wow, such a good bargain. But then the people that buy the 15 Pro Max, those are usually like the hardcore Apple sheep, like my brother Frank. Those guys just like, they buy anything. It doesn't really matter what it costs. They're just like, I don't care, whatever the best of the best iPhone is, I'm buying that one. So if you were to apply a price hike, it would make sense to apply it there. The people who buy the smaller Pro, I guess, are more likely to be a bit more cost conscious. This kind of supports the idea of that inevitable iPhone Ultra in the future. Like, all of the features and all of the money. And some people use their phone so much, they're like, I don't care, I'll blow all my money, that's fine. But still, this report is just ironic after all of those months of leaks talking about, oh yeah, the price is going up, the price is going up, but the storage option will go up too. And now it's like, last second, never mind. This exact same thing happened last year. But I still truly believed there would be price hikes on the 14 Pros, and I guess internationally there was. So in a way, the reports were true, but just not for the US market. But the good news is the regular 15 and 15 Plus should be the same boring price of the 14 and 14 Plus, except they're getting Type-C in the dynamic island, so I feel like this will be a bit more meaningful of an upgrade than last year. And the only other final reports that I can really see much going on about is more about the iPhone accessories, like Apple's rumored to discontinue their leather cases and even their silicone cases in pursuit of this new fine woven nylon case design, which is kind of weird. I don't know, I've just never been a fan of any of Apple's cases. I always feel like they're too expensive and they age poorly, so I typically just go caseless and I'm fine with that. But I'm actually grateful that there could be a chance that they're discontinuing some of those cases, because I've always had friends and family members get them and then they fall apart within months, and especially after a year goes by, they just look horrible and terrible, and they're not that cheap, so I feel like I can't say much nice things about them. So here's hoping that the replacement fine woven cases have a bit more durability, but I'm definitely not going to count on them being affordable. They'll probably still be $50 or more, but it'll be the new hip case design, so everybody will probably go out and buy it. But the only final wildcard predictions I will make is I've noticed that a lot of leakers and analysts are all careful with their wording about USB-C on the iPhone. They all keep saying that the Pros are going to have a faster data transfer speed and the regular iPhones will stick with USB 2.0, which personally I think is fine because everyday consumers aren't going to ever use that port for data transfer. That's more of a Pro techie thing. But they're not using the word Thunderbolt. Ming-Chi Kuo had made references to the iPhone potentially getting Thunderbolt, but if it ends up just being USB 3.1, Gen 2, or that kind of thing, it might be a bit of a letdown for a lot of people who are expecting full-speed Thunderbolt. But my guess is if there's no Thunderbolt, then Apple's not going to have a ton of special features planned for that port. It'll mostly just be for faster charging, probably, and I guess the occasional data reset if you're moving photos and videos off the phone. Sure, USB 3.1 would do a much better job than AirDrop or Lightning could, but Thunderbolt, I feel like they would only do that if they had some big feature like Apple Dex or, you know, some kind of revamped external monitor support. That could justify having a port that can transfer data that fast, but because all of the analysts are not really using the term Thunderbolt anymore, it's making me wonder if that's going to be like the big scrap, the big disappointment that everyone goes, what? I thought we were going to get Thunderbolt. The other wildcard prediction I'll have is maybe at this event they kill off the iPad 9. I don't think they'll introduce any new iPads, but they might in the spirit of getting rid of all the Lightning cables, and they're also rumored to get rid of a ton of Lightning accessories and introduce USB-C AirPods, probably USB-C MagSafe battery pack, and that kind of thing has been leaked. So in that spirit, it would be kind of a perfect time to discontinue the last iPad on the site that still has Lightning, but I don't think they'll introduce a USB-C Magic Mouse or Magic Keyboard until the iMac comes out with the M3 chip next month. And there's been rumors of USB-C AirPods Max and regular AirPods coming out next year, which is why sadly tomorrow I'm just expecting USB-C AirPods Pro. That's it. I don't think Lightning will be wiped off the face of the website tomorrow, but a lot of it could be. And that pretty much covers it. What other reports have you guys read? What's your kind of last minute guesses or wild card predictions that are kind of crazy or kind of out there? Feel free to let me know down in the comments below. And thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. Seriously, helps me out a ton. It's been a fun year of leaks and rumors. I'm very excited to see what Apple's game plan is for tomorrow. And then right after that, we can start preparations for iPhone 16 rumor videos. Those are going to be a lot more boring. I promise you. It's just the screens are a little bigger. That's it. That's all. Okay. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I'll see you all in the next one.